Thank you for joining us for another episode of That Solo Life, the podcast for PR pros and marketers who work for themselves. People like me. I'm Michelle Kane. My company is Voice Matters, and I'm here as ever with my wonderful co host. She is Karen the Swim of Solo PR Pro, and she holds us all together. She is the glue. Hey, how are you, Karen?
Glue is in need of some glue of her own today, Michelle, but I'm good. How are
Oh,
you?
I hear you. I hear you.
Oh,
Full disclosure, we are recording this on a Monday, and it is quite a Monday. I don't know about you all out there listening to this, but I know we started to say it in April that people seem to be waking up. They're coming out of their, COVID strangeness,
yeah,
dormancy, and boy, May is proving April wrong. May is just like poop,
yeah.
poop, poop, which is great. At the same time, it's like, oh, okay, this is what it was like.
Monday, this has been the Mondayest of Mondays.
Yes, it has. But you know what? We're not having quite the same Monday as some other people on the
Yeah,
planet.
we're gonna
So
have a little fun today.
we are a little fun. So, I'll preface this that this is above politics. This is not to
Yeah,
say we're not coming down on any political side. This is looking at this particular issue from through a PR lens
yeah,
of, what would a PR pro do? It seems that Steve Schmidt, he is a political consultant slash PR um, person, has kind of unleashed after some pretty serious accusations made in Meghan McCain's new book. So he's decided to no longer hold back on some truths that he held, or some information, I'd say truth that he um, held in confidence as part of his
yeah,
work. And wow.
yeah. Steve Schmidt is a strategist, and
Yeah.
the reason we wanted to talk about this is because it really kind of brought up this topic of, as public relations pros, one of the things that we often say to our clients is that you need to treat me like your attorney and tell me everything. And we
Yes.
ask them to do that because we need full disclosure from our clients. We need to know it all because we need to prepare for it all. And we want to make sure that we are protecting their reputations and the reputation of their brands, that we're prepared for any potential crises that could arise from behavior. So sometimes we're privy
Right.
to information that is sensitive,
Right.
and the question came up of, this person was also in a position of protecting confidentialities of a client. However, he was a volunteer, so there was no financial transaction or contractual obligation in the same way that we are contractually obligated to our clients. But it's an interesting topic to explore in these
Right.
times that we live in. It seems as though nothing is sacred anymore.
Right.
And whatever you say or whatever you do, somehow, even if you believe that it is private, it can find its way out into the world.
Yes. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
things that are taken out of context can often blow up even bigger and can be fully used against you. Another recent, pop culture issue was at the Met Gala. Can you tell it's a Monday? I can't say words. At the Met Gala, some fans read the lips of Billie Eilish at the party saying it's weird, and thought that she was referring to the person of Cardi B. So they
Oh,
read the lips, and this all blew up and created this whole thing when
yeah.
in Billie described, and she texted Cardi B personally to say, I wasn't saying that you're weird. I was saying that the behaviors that were happening around you were weird. But people
Yeah.
saw her look towards the stage where Cardi B was and was talking, and made this whole thing. So I use that. It seems like a really extreme thing. And I mean, we know that entertainment lives in its own world,
Right.
but we also know that we could have clients in these same situations where people believe that they see something, believe that they hear something, or even that we know something.
Yes.
And so the question is, is it ever okay to disclose a client's secrets.
Right, right. And in this particular instance, clearly there was no NDA in place, and probably especially because he was doing it as a volunteer. And if you just, if you go on Twitter or Google Steve Schmidt today, you will find all of the information he's giving. And he mentioned he was doing this out of loyalty and because he believed in the work that he was doing. And there's other reasons he didn't want the money, which you can read. Um, but but yeah, I mean, ethically, if you have a client sharing something with you in confidence, it's not just because, "Ooh, I want to share this information with you." It really it's a responsibility to hold that information and to, I don't wanna say be the caretaker of it, but maybe the, gatekeeper, but, I mean,
Yeah,
you just you really need to know how to maneuver, speaking of context, through the context of the work you're doing, knowing what you know. And honestly, it helps you to be prepared for whatever may come or allows you to prepare. And that can be, something extremely serious or even something trivial. I say two things to my clients all the time. I'm sure they love me for it. First of all, as you said in the opening, I don't need to know everything, but I need to know everything.
yeah,
I don't care, but I do need to know. And also, I always joke that I'm the little black cloud coming in, troubleshooting, saying, "Well, okay, that's fine. However, be prepared if X happens." Or, we need to be ready for all of these other contingencies for your ultimate good of the client
yeah.
that you're serving. So
Well,
now
I
I'm
think, as public relations professionals, we are bound by our industry's code of ethics.
yes,
And we also know that our responsibility is to not only our clients, but their publics. So we have this dual
yes,
responsibility that is uncommon in a lot of professions. If you hire an attorney, they're
yeah,
not bound to anybody else except for the client. We have a dual responsibility, and it's something that I don't take lightly.
right,
So my viewpoint is that there are very few instances when you should break confidentiality with or without a confidentiality agreement in
right,
place. I don't think that it's ever our place decades later to share your client's trade secrets. I don't think that it's ever our place to air a client's or a brand's dirty laundry. The only instances that I would break that implicit seal between myself and a client is if it were illegal,
mhm,
and I would work through channels within the company first, before I went to law enforcement. If it's something illegal, obviously you don't want to be silent about that, and you definitely don't want to be a part of it.
right,
So extricate yourself from that situation immediately,
right,
and then I think that you owe it to the client to let them know that what are you going to do about it, because if you don't take care of this, I am going to report it. If someone's life is in danger, either the client themselves or somebody else, and you know that harm will come, then I think you do have a responsibility to speak up. um, and being a whistleblower is really a tough position, to be in. If any of you want to hear a real life account, Paula Padine, who is one of our esteemed colleagues, she's a member of PRSA, she was a whistleblower. It's a
oh,
very tough
wow,
position to be in. But you have to operate from a position of strength and a position from an ethical standpoint and an ethical foundation. But other than that, like in this particular instance that we're talking about, this former volunteer was actually attacked with the release of a book written by John McClane's daughter, Megan McCain. And the book obviously painted him in a very unflattering light and said some very, very tough things.
yeah,
Maybe or maybe not true, but things that I would never want to be accused of or associated with. So I can
right,
see how you would lose it over something like that.
yeah,
And this was the straw that broke the camel's back for him, that just unleashed an entire tirade of, "Oh, you want to talk? Okay, so now I'm going to unleash all the secrets."
Right.
Again, this person was a volunteer, but I think it is a good thing to explore in our profession because we too are bearers or sometimes of those same kinds of secrets. And, within the safety of our community, sometimes we have sought advice from others on sensitive situations without obviously compromising the integrity of our relationship with clients. And so sometimes we may know about these same things that this gentleman is spilling. I just don't think it's our place to ever share those things unless the parameters are set that, again, it's harmful, illegal,
Yeah. And
otherwise.
yes, and I think this certainly in his case was a buildup of a very, very, very long time. And really, the choice to go nuclear like this, I'm sure was not taken lightly. And I agree with you. If it's illegal, if it's endangering someone's, physical health or safety, then of course you don't. You you go through the proper channels and you certainly work to make things right. And also keeping in mind too, as PR professionals, alongside the code of ethics that we, pledge to abide by, really your work product is your credibility. Your
Yeah,
your reputation is everything. Yes, we work in the business of managing people's reputations, but with that comes our own, sense of honor and credibility. Which in this case, I certainly believe he feels he's defending after all this time of, people perhaps taking some of his things out of context and whatnot.
yeah. I
So,
mean, from his standpoint, I think he reacted as a human being. He
yeah,
was, you accuse somebody of being involved in a pedophile ring
yeah,
and they're not that
in
person.
print,
It's like you hit me, I'm gonna hit back harder.
yeah,
I I don't like this whole culture that has been erected lately. It's very toxic, it's very angry. I'm not a
yeah,
fan of it. And I
yeah,
understand how difficult it is when someone says something so egregious about you, so untrue that would make you want to go nuclear. I do.
yeah,
I get that reaction. However, as public relations professionals, I would caution don't do it. It's not worth it. And to what end? What is that, you haven't corrected the record. You can't take the book out of print. I mean, you can if you go the legal route and try to get the book out of print and prove
well,
it.
she only sold
Libel,
244 copies, so it's
yeah,
okay.
libel is a really hard one to prove legally
Yeah,
anyway. And so by you now spilling somebody else's secret, somebody who, by the way, is dead, I'm not quite sure what objective it achieves other than to make you feel better about the whole thing. But
I
I
think
also
achieve that.
think, yeah, I think that this lesson is make sure that your clients understand that they have an responsibility to their own brand and to the company brand to ensure that they're protecting their reputations as well. Remind them at every turn that you can't make a comment to a reporter that's off the record and expect it
Uh-huh.
to stay off the record. You can't you do have to be judicious in what you say, what you speak, what you write, the emails that you send because seen that kind of stuff blow up into the public eye as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
Take this stuff seriously. Your words really can come back to haunt you. Your actions can come back to haunt you no matter how private you think it is. And
Yeah.
so I think it's a good, reminder for us to just remind our clients that these days everything's discoverable. There's cameras everywhere. People can record you without your knowledge and people that are in your trusted circle today may not be in your trusted circle tomorrow. And one dispute could lead to someone turning against you and releasing things publicly that you don't want the public to know. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and it's sad that this is our life right now,
Yeah.
but it's our life.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everyone has a microphone these days thanks to social media and it's so true. I mean, if you put it down on paper, and by on paper I mean in an email, in a forum, anywhere online, text messages, none of that is ultimately hidden. There's not
Yeah.
a thing that can't be found or dug up. And, so just and at the same time, no one's perfect. There is no human being that
Yeah,
is perfect. And, as we discussed at the top of this episode, so much is so quickly taken out of context. So, we're not saying that you and your clients need to walk on eggshells and be afraid of every move, but just, if those moments when you feel like pulling the trigger on something or writing something, and you're just
yeah,
like, I just take a minute, count to 5 or 10 if you need to, and just think, you know what? Is this worth what might happen? Or,
yeah,
as they used to say, write the letter, but don't send it. And write it
yeah,
on paper that you can burn.
that you can burn. 100%. It's very therapeutic. I've been there and done that. It
Yeah.
is
Yes.
definitely a technique that works, or,
Yeah.
go have a conversation and say everything that you wanna say
Right.
out loud where no one can hear you and get it off your chest.
And
Um,
if you watch too many episodes of Homeland, do it with water running in case there's a bug.
there you go. I love that advice. I mean, it's kind of funny, but we are sort of living like a real life spy
Yeah.
novel in the
Yeah.
times that we live in. You've
Yeah.
got, devices that can track you. You've got,
Yeah.
you can use your iPhone as a recording device.
Right.
It's a world where, our words and actions really can just show up anywhere, and it's unfortunate. I cringe at videos that are taken of people without their knowledge and
Mm.
made into memes to make fun of people in embarrassing situations. It's just it's an icky time. It really is an icky
Yeah.
time, and although, it's kind of like, "Ooh," watching these public fights can be some form of entertainment, it also it's a little sad. It's a
Yeah.
little sad that
It is.
somebody tries to sell books and they, say these things about people that are not founded in truth, and that somebody then is forced into feeling like they have to defend their character. And
Right.
I don't wanna know all these things about people's personal lives and their I just don't. I don't wanna
I
know.
have enough I have enough trouble keeping myself straight, let alone worry about other people, but you're right. I mean,
Really?
the salaciousness of it is it's dishy and you think, "Oh my
Yeah,
goodness, what happened for this to happen? Wow." And
yeah,
yeah, at the end of the day, it's kind of like if when you see a child have a tantrum and then you stop and you look around and the room is a mess, right? And then you think, "Oh, I have
yeah.
to put all these things back together again." Um,
Yeah, and I
you
don't think
know?
anybody is thinking about the aftermath of all of their actions, and the people along the way that you're not thinking about that you're harming. So, in an effort to protect oneself, you're harming a lot of other people, and I just don't think that any of us have the right to do that. And as PR professionals, I hope that we hold ourselves to a much higher standard, and I hope we're never forced in that position where we even feel like we have to
Right.
disclose the client's secrets. I would rather, I say if you're in a situation with a client that you feel like there's just a little too much that you have to keep confidential and you're not comfortable with it, it's not illegal, maybe it's not immoral, but maybe it's just really pushing the line for you. It's really time for you to exit that relationship and find a client that you can feel good about representing. Um, but even the best of clients can make mistakes. People
Right.
can say unfortunate things and maybe need to be educated. People can do unfortunate things. We're human beings. We make mistakes. So
Right.
I don't think a mistake should, put you out for public flogging.
No.
That doesn't seem fair to me either. People should be given the opportunity for redemption.
Right. And I have seen that just in our culture these days or in the pop culture of, people saying, "Oh, you know what? You're right. I have a lot to learn and I'm going to learn it." And, just as PR professionals, we have it's really a it's really a rewarding opportunity for us to be that resource to help guide our clients through these situations.
Yeah.
To be able to take care and give them the best advice to get through with the best outcomes for everyone involved. So, well,
Yeah.
we thank you for sipping a little tea with us today, and hopefully it's been hopefully it's been time well spent for you. If so, please do share this podcast around. We really appreciate it, and we thank you for joining us for That Solo Life.